And now we are live here on Friday. It is the first month of May. And if you are like pretty much everyone else, you're probably wondering what the heck is going to happen? What's going to happen to Train for Warriors? What are we doing? When does the gym get back on so we can start lifting those heavy weights and sprinting? Because that's what everybody wants to do, is do sprints and deadlifts. I get that. I wanted to start off this conversation with an analogy or a metaphor, and I really appreciate, she's not on the call right now, Jennifer Gossett. She posted the Invictus poem, and it's a great centering idea about who's captaining your ship. And I like the ship analogy because there's a lot. It's an adventure, it's travel, there's storms. We're in a storm right now, and if you think about those clipper ships or any of those sailboats or big rigs that have all the sails and rely on the wind. When the wind dies down, when you're in the doldrums, there's no or very little wind, so you've got the sails up, but you're not going anywhere. You're not traveling very quickly. And right now we're kind of in that period of doldrums where we don't have the forward motion that it comes from the air and the wind per se, but the water's still moving, and the thing that controls where the ship goes is actually the rudder. The sail moves the ship. The rudder makes sure that the ship is going in the right direction. And like for our focus here at Training for Warriors, remember our mission is to build mental and physical resilience, right? Through our training program and the nutrition and the way that we recover. And so our first task is to make sure that the compass is pointed in the right direction, that our rudder is steered, that the till is directing us where to go, and that we're going to the right spot. So for us here in May, what that means is what is our program going to focus on? Well, we're going to focus on our 164, do more in your 164. Our homework is going to be about breathing and about hydration. And breathing and hydration, because we've got a lot to do. Hey Lara, thanks for popping in. We've got a lot to do as not just Training for Warriors comes back online and begins our recovery process from this pandemic that we're dealing with, but the whole city and country and world is also going through the same process. And in order to contribute in a meaningful way, and in order to be a positive impact on ourselves and our environment, we gotta take care of ourselves. And breathing is really important because I'm an anxious person, and there's two things that happen when you have a lot of anxiety. Like you can try to tamp down all that anxiety and fear and suppress it and repress it, and that sort of becomes this depressed state where you stop feeling as much because you don't like the fear. This is what happens to me, at least. But if I breathe into it intentionally, that anxiety and that fear becomes excitement. And then if I point myself in the right direction towards the right activities, that excitement and that continued breath becomes enthusiasm. And I use that fire and that enthusiasm to tackle what's in front of me. And usually it's to give a bunch of high fives, which I'm not able to do right now, and I'm very sad about that. But I still have a purpose and a mission, and we're going to use breath this month to use that energy to fuel us productively to move forward. And hydration and breathing are super important. They're grounding things, and we want to stay grounded as we start to turn the engine back on to the ship, as we start to move forward at Training for Warriors and with everything else that we're working on. And that thing that I if you've ever worked with me in person, something I say all the time is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And that's the theme of, like, as we take on more, as everybody is really anxious about getting back to life as we used to know it, or resuming operations. It's everybody wants to get back after it. And remember, like what we do intentionally, what we do well, what we do slowly becomes extremely effective if we stay consistent at it and let it work. So we're gonna be taking our time with our training in our process for May and June, and we're being intentional and slow with it. And we pick out our 164 habits, and we pick out our homework as things that are extremely effective if you do them every day. Like you're breathing right now, so hopefully you keep breathing. But we also want you to do like your homework, your workout snacks, which in the month of May are going to be some lunges, a new twist on the lunge to help improve mobility and strength in your hips, and as well as what else is there? Some ground on the ground mobility work for the upper and lower body. So we're going to do things. Our homework is going to be extremely beneficial to our long-term health, especially if we do it every single day, and use it as a break to the work that we're doing in our daily lives. So we're going to do Cossack lunges, 4-point mobility drills on the ground, and some plank archers, which are really, really fun. But again, those things are all going to help us as we continue to move through the month of May and deal with all the stress that we've got coming at us. And our focus as we end the quarantine challenge, as we as our Mad Max and our Kimmies and our teams become one cohesive unit again, our focus is still going to be on doing all those things to recover our bodies and our minds from the stress of training and of life, but we're shifting the focus to sharing instead of obviously we want to be hydrating and doing all those things too, but we also want to be sharing positivity and making that the contagious thing that we're bringing out from Training for Warriors to your families, to your office, and becoming a force of positivity and good, because right now that's what people need that all over, and in every industry and every aspect of life. We're facing a lot of struggle, and that positive energy is just as contagious as fear or any other emotion for that matter. And our focus on positivity and our focus on breathing and recovery is all going to lead into our what we're going to be doing in the dojo when the dojo physically reopens, because it's obviously going to reopen. And the details are very hard to pin down, because in the phase that we're scheduled to open for, we're in phase 3 as of right now. That's been the plan that's been adopted by the West Coast, and all that just means is we are going to be the final phase of integrating into the United States economy in person, meaning that phase 1 and 2, they're going to come first, and they're going to be about 14 days apiece. So we're going to be at the tail end of the reopening, and even when we do reopen, that doesn't mean that there's no such thing as COVID. That doesn't mean that there's still not people sick. And this thing is going to be around. It's going to be part of our conversation and of our lives. So even if the lights were turned on tomorrow and everybody was back in here, I don't necessarily think that the most responsible thing to do, I mean, what I want to do, and we'll get into how we're going to actually do it, but what I want to do is get all of you right now in the room with me at the same exact time, and have a 75 or 100 person huddle and just like rock this place. That's what I would like to do, but that's probably not the best plan, considering that we're still going to be dealing with a very contagious virus. So our reopening plan is going to begin in phase 3. Tentatively, that looks like the first week of June as of right now, and we'll see how things go when the state begins to implement them and what is going on. But when we bring back our classes, when we bring back our training, we're going to be very conscientious about how many people we have in the same room at the same time, like the CDC's guidelines on social distancing haven't changed. So we have to be careful about the amount of space that we give each other to work. Unfortunately, like I said, those 20-person waddles are probably not going to be happening right away. We're going to have to give it time and wait for things to develop in terms of the disease and what we're dealing with and how we fight it. But what I will say is, every one of us is going to have a conversation about the amount of risk and responsibility that we take for our family members and for one another, and what level of exposure we're comfortable with. Because even as we, as owners of a gym, even if we take all of the right precautions, or many of the right precautions, there's no perfect way to ensure that people aren't exposed to any type of virus. So there's going to be a lot of precautions on our end, and there's also going to be, we have to have clear conversations with each and every one of you about what risk means to you, and to make sure that you're fully aware of what you're really being exposed to and how that's impacting people in your life and your family, and what level of precaution you're willing to take inside the dojo to protect yourself and other people. There's a lot to it, and it's going to be, everybody has different levels of risk that they're willing to tolerate. So we're going to be very careful about how we integrate people into our training in person, and how we manage the flow of human bodies and human beings. So I guess our reopen plan is, again, slow is smooth, smooth is fast, and we're going to be very careful and measured about how many people we work with, how we engage with them, and all of the safety precautions that we're going to take, which we will take some. But again, there's no such thing as a perfect solution, and this virus is not going to go away. It's not going to be gone when we get back into the dojo, unfortunately. But that is the 50,000 foot view of where we're at, where we're going, how we're going to get there. And in this next couple of weeks, I want to get on the phone with each and every one of you members to talk about your individual training plan, what your individual goals are, and the nutrition and training process. And I've got a fun sheet to go over with you guys that you can all see on Google Docs. It's going to be great. But I want to make sure that I understand exactly what you're needing and what you're dealing with as a person right now, because everybody's life has been crazy different, and crazy different in terms of the kind of stress, what's been happening. Some people are just going nuts and training 7-8 times a week. Some people are too busy working and dealing with family stuff. So there's a lot going on, and I want to get into the weeds with each and every one of you, because you're important, because you're my familia. Okay, thanks. That was a lot of stuff. That was 10 minutes of just Josh talking, which is not abnormal by any means, but I will now open it up to questions about any training stuff, any TFW stuff, my favorite movies, anything that you like. If you want to ask a question, you can type in the chat and I'll answer it, or if you just type in your name and I'll unmute you. Who has a question? Anyone?
Look at those faces. Did you unmute them? Unmute.
What about book club?
Oh yeah, thanks, Stila. So book club is going to be, I think it's the 23rd. It's the third week in May. So I'll stick that on the Facebook group. I'll put it in the Warrior Vault. We've been trying really, really hard to keep that Warrior Vault updated with information as far as Zoom meetings, Zoom links, Josh's phone number, my phone number, the Haymarket phone number that's always very confusing, and that's our mass text that we send out. Yeah, so if you're ever in doubt, just check that Warrior Vault that's either on Google Docs, or you can find it in the secret Facebook page under Files, and it's always showing up on top. So, but good question, Ms. Stila, about the book club.
Bam! I got my favorite ice cream. It varies depending on the day, but historically I like vanilla. I like the honey lavender from 40 Licks. I'm a very vanilla kind of guy because it goes with anything. You can put vanilla ice cream basically on top of anything, and it goes really good. Can we make quarantine swag? Yes, we can. I've actually been looking at different companies and different shirts. Maybe a hoodie theme. Maybe we'll take a poll and see what people really want, because obviously, like, this has been an epic adventure. So we're going to commemorate it, of course. Will I be able to reserve a class time? 6:30. 6:30 is the only time I can go when my schedule is normal. Normal schedule. Well, I'm just envious of someone who has a normal schedule. Like that is just an amazing thing. How we're gonna do it is everybody's gonna select, or individuals will select a time that works the best for them. And then we're gonna do some modeling of how we can really move in the dojo in a responsible way. And so once we have our cap and our head count, historically the CDC, the Oregon Health Authority, they're very vague on rules. So they say things like 6 feet apart, no more than 10. They're going to raise but in phase 3, the cap will be 50, which we've never had more than, I think, 38 people in here doing yoga. So once we get to phase 3, we're basically responsible for our own, for however many people we're going to have in here. So we're going to do some modeling about how to play out a productive class. That will give us a head count, and then everybody is going to reserve. And so we're going to set it up so that everybody can get at least 3 times a week in at their preferred time, and the way that'll work. So it's gonna be a little bit of legwork and reverse engineering, what people need. Can we have a 7:42 p.m. class on every third Wednesday? That was our original schedule so like for our first year, like I did so many silly things. Like I had like I don't know if you guys remember, there's some old OGs here remember, like it was like 7 a.m. would be a strength class on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then on Tuesday, Thursday, that 7 a.m. slot would be a different class, so it alternated by time and by day, and I thought I was being super clever, and it was impossible. No one knew what was happening. The coaches didn't know, no one knew, the clients didn't know, the workouts were changing all the time, and it was ridiculous. So the Diane, that was the time for that fun schedule has passed. We're going to be a little bit more predictable. And people like routine. Won't it be nice to have a routine again? Won't it be nice to just see like the people, like your 7 o'clock gym class, just like your 10 a.m. math class in junior high? You knew those people were going to be in there, and it was weird not to see them.
Yeah, so and you guys, like, we understand too that everything's going to be changed when we come back, right? Your schedules have changed dramatically, so we know that like maybe Emily is not going to be able to hit the 6 p.m. class every night. So that's why we're going to make sure that we get in touch with you, make sure that we understand what your schedule are like, and go from there as far as the class times are concerned. What episode are we watching tonight of the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt? We're going to watch the first and the second episode, so we're going to try that. If you haven't ever seen that show, it is funny and weird. Can we get a sink?
A second sink near the changing area for hand washing. This is, I don't know if you're joking, but sanitation, right? Like that's it's. I'm not a plumber, so I will not be able to install a sink, but what we can do is create re-sanitation stations, and that's exactly what we're going to do around the gym. So there'll be from touching things like the in-body to touching weights, and there will be time where we'll have equipment available for everyone. Not only will we be doing that periodically, but everyone will close down their workout with a sanitation spot, and we'll and work on that. So yeah, I mean, essentially, yes, sinks everywhere. You get a sink, and you get a sink, and everyone gets a sink.
That's a great question, Francie. Are y'all gonna continue doing daily virtual workouts until things are completely back to normal? Yes.
The short answer is, and this is true This is true for everyone, right? Like we became an online business. You see, we've got people here coming from Arizona. We've got people from all across the country that we're working with, and it's because we're a hybrid now of a brick and mortar and a digital business, and that probably it probably won't go away when things get back to normal. It's probably just going to be there now, and that's part of what we are is as a hybrid fitness business now. And it actually has been very helpful for a lot of people before the virus, and it will be afterwards, so that we can do a combination of in-person evaluations, distance coaching, and delivering training through different forms of media. So yeah, we are going to be doing virtual stuff for the duration. In perpetuity. It may look different, may have different schedules and things like that, but yeah, that's going to be a keeper.
So Kyla's question: when do you think we'll need to start bringing back equipment? Sometime in phase 2. Yeah, I mean, it would be really, really far into phase 2, like maybe that week between phase 2 and when we reopen, So
we'll get plenty of heads up.
Yeah, totally.
We will.
Totally. We want you guys to keep the equipment for as long as possible.
Use it.
Yeah.
Use it.
Yeah, and and then work with us. Like we'll figure out what equipment. I mean, obviously, I have all the loan out forms for what equipment that you do have. But say, for instance, you're somebody who isn't able to get back in the gym, because of maybe concerns about people at home that you don't want to expose to the virus or whatever, and you need to keep your equipment. We'll just work with having you have the best equipment possible, so that we still have stuff in here, but that you have stuff at home too.
When are you going to release your Training for Warriors Portland app? That's a great question, Nidia. And the reality is, don't tap me on the business thing, because the app is the app is a consolidated data set that is more accessible than the internet which created it. So like if you think about what training apps are, whether it's a Nike Fit app or anything, it's a series of videos and content that is just streamlined for you, right? So we have all the content, and there are already really great off-the-shelf apps out there that we can use. But the important thing to get right for us, Nidia, is coaching. That's actually the X factor to the success of the individual athlete. And so we're working on how do we systemize communication so that our coaching is consistent first. Then the app comes out. Yes, love where your head's at though, obviously. TFW app. Okay, looks like we answered some of these questions.
Maradon.
Maradon missed the meeting. Don't worry, Maradon. If you just jumped, we just answered a bunch of questions and then did the whole thing. But we recorded it, so you can look at it later. You can. Is there anything I can do to help to get the dojo running again?
Aww.
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know who's on iPhone 2, but I'm sure we'll. So the dojo, by the way, the dojo is running. like the only problem we have with the dojo is that you're not here.
Yeah,
that's the only problem.
Yeah, that's what we need. Is we need you to be here when we open up, if you feel safe, obviously. But yeah, we just want to utilize like all these great habits and behaviors, guys, that we've been working on. And this is one of the positive things that I'm trying to find out of this whole craziness, is that I have gotten way better at meal prep. I have gotten way better at getting sleep at night, the reading, everything. And it's because of the challenge and just getting those habits like really, really cemented in, so that when we do get back to the dojo, it's easy to walk out of your house or leave work and get in here. And that's just habit,
I'm happy to test the equipment to make sure it's working. I understand.
Who is iPhone 2?
Sarah.
Sarah. Okay.
Can you visit us here at the dojo? We could do by appointment, so you can reach out for a phone call with one of us, and we can
we can arrange that.
Yeah, because I think Sarah has some of the Fit Foods meal containers that she's going to leave here, I think, for you, Nydia. And yeah. So you have our Acuity links. You should have gotten texts from Josh and me with our Acuity links. It's also in the Warrior Vault. You can always schedule time with us at any time that our schedule's free.
You can still type in your questions, but I'm going to begin to close the meeting out because I want to bring it back to the beginning with the rudder and the sail. Like, one of the things that I'm so grateful for, there's lots of things about this I was not prepared for. This has been very illuminating for me as a human, and it's revealed to me what my weaknesses are and what my strengths are. My weaknesses are many, but one of my strengths is that I was on purpose. So like, I basically have been coming to the dojo every single day since things got bad, and it's never been more clear to me what the mission is. The mission of Training for Warriors is to build mental and physical resilience inside of other human beings, including me. And we've been doing that. And whether it's through a virtual workout, whether that's through a phone call or a Zoom conversation, whether that's through an awesome deadlifting clinic where we get to crush some weight and have some fun, or any of these other touch points or connections, Training for Warriors is on mission. And we're pivoting, and we're going to continue to evolve as this situation matures. But it doesn't change. The mission is clear. We're on track with it, and we get the opportunity to live out our mission and purpose in a really great way. And all of you are a part of that. And I'm really grateful, hugely grateful to each and every one of you for just continuing to show up for yourselves, continue to show up for the community, and just make this experience, which is very, very challenging and difficult in so many ways, to make it bearable. And it's just been a huge blessing for me to have the no wind in the sails, but to have the rudder pointed in the right direction. And we're going to sail through this one together, and we're going to come out the other side with our quarantine swag. I was so glad someone brought that up besides me, because I was like, yeah, we gotta do something. And the TFW, I love Martin Rooney. He's the founder of TFW. He's got a design, and it's this like tornado. It's this storm with like boxing gloves. He's like, into the storm. And it's like Stormy the Tornado. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, no, it's not. Sorry. Like, I'm a team player, but we're not putting that on. I'm not wearing it. Like, it's not because I don't get the metaphor. Like, into the storm. Yes, like, it's great. But that's no, we're just not. So we're gonna do our own, and it's not gonna be a DFW global thing, because we're Portland, right? It's gotta have some flair. So if you've got some ideas on what that should look like, or a cool image or something like that, if you're an artist and you fancy yourself a designer, please.
Or phrase. Or
yeah,
motto.
Or phrase, or a motto or anything. I like the Invictus quote from Jennifer, but like, there's so much good stuff. But it's gonna be cool. It's not gonna be. It's gonna be a little dorky. It's us, but it's not gonna be that. It's not gonna be a tornado with boxing gloves.
Diane. Dave.
Tides, coffee, umbrellas, bridges. Yeah, that coffee, obviously. That's great. Not tides, roses, not tulips. I don't know. I think there was a misspelled autocorrect error. Well, yeah, design it, folks. I'm on board. We gotta make it cool though. All right, that's the message. That was the Friday sort of forward planning section of the of Josh's announcements. I'm going to be calling all of you and getting in touch with where you're at, how you're feeling about your fitness and your goals, what are you needing, and then what are your re-entry back into the dojo looks like, if you're ready for that, and when and how and all of those things. So look for that in the next 24 hours to have me start peppering you, and continue to earn points. The quarantine challenge is on. There's trophies up for grabs. There's honor. There's glory. And I want everyone to continue to be focused on those principles of health, taking time for yourself, recovering, continue to build muscle, burn fat, feel good, and bring forth the warrior within.